Hi everyone, so I'm here to talk about this foundation. It is the E.L.F. Halo Glow Skin Tint, and the shade I have is Too Fair Warm, and this is really expensive, like $18. I was surprised because the E.L.F. Soft Glam Satin Foundation is only like $8, $7. It is so much cheaper. And I think I like this formula better. But before I get into it too much, let's take a look at the swatches and see how it compares to this E.L.F. foundation and other things in my collection. All right, swatches. So this is the E.L.F. Halo Glow Skin Tint in Fair Warm 2, Too Fair Warm. This is the E.L.F. Soft Glam Satin in 12 Fair Warm. It's definitely more yellow, where this is kind of orangey almost. This is NARS Sheer Glow in Siberia. Glossier, the Stretch Foundation in Very Light 1. Maybelline Superstay. This is a couple iterations back, but 102 Fair Porcelain. And this is the 24-hour skin tint in 102 Fair Porcelain. You can see they're pretty much the same color. And I was trying to find something a little bit more of this orangey tone, and I was coming up empty, but the closest I could get were these two. This is a very, very old bottle of Lancome Teint Idole Ultra in 90N. This has been reformulated probably 3, 4, 5 times since this bottle came out. It's at the very end of the bottle. I'm just scraping down what I can. And this, for something newer, is the Tier Red Cushion Foundation, and that's in 13N Fair Ivory. So, I'm so confused about this because I feel like it's kind of got this in the swatches. It looks a little bit orangey, and yet on my face I feel like it looks a little too light and like it doesn't have enough yellow in it. I don't know. Based on those swatches, I would expect it to look a little bit darker on my face. So I'm 45 years old. What year is this? 45 years old. I have combo skin, I have dryness, I have a certain type of dermatitis in certain places around my mouth and up on my eyelids. And the issues I have are things kind of settling into my pores, getting patchy on my chin from my natural oils to tend to really eat through foundation. And sometimes that means it gets a little patchy. I have some creasing that I'm trying to avoid in these, these spots, a few little lines on my forehead. And I also don't like things that tend to look dry on my face, like really dry, because that can make it it makes me look older. It kind of accentuates that my skin is not that of a 25-year-old, but I also like things that aren't sticky. So that's what I'm looking for in a foundation and the issues I have. My biggest issue with this foundation is it tends to crease on me. So I used my kind of what works best for me right now, which is for skin prep, which is just exfoliating my face with like a washcloth, and then doing the E.L.F. Invisible SPF 35. It's water resistant because I'm so sweaty, very important. And it's also like a makeup primer. It's got that kind of silicone-y texture. It is basically a dupe of the Supergoop Unseen Sunscreen, which I also enjoy, but the E.L.F. is cheaper, so that's the one I use. And like I mentioned, I set with that NARS powder. That for me is almost all foundations will not crease on me with that prep and with that setting powder. Unfortunately, this one does. So let's zoom in and look at this. Nope, wrong way. So, I am like fighting the good fight here with these little areas. Like I say, other foundations, like the other E.L.F. foundation, it will not crease if I do that. But this, it just keeps creasing. And up here, and down here, and on my forehead. So it's like I tap it out before I set it to make sure I'm not like setting a crease. And It just comes back in a couple hours. So it does say it's SPF 50 and it's water resistant, which I have found in general, almost all foundations, for me at least, if I set them with a NARS powder and use that SPF, it will hold up to sweating. And so even if it doesn't claim to be water resistant or to, you know, deal with sweat, whatever, most foundations in my experience do with that kind of combo. So I'm not surprised that this one also does well with me sweating. You know, it's like I sweat and then I can dab it away or I can let it dry, whatever. Either way, it's not going to disrupt the foundation. So I do appreciate that. Like my upper lip is sweating so much. So I don't believe it ever really sets down when I do wear this. I do set my entire face just so that it's not tacky, because it definitely feels a little tacky if I don't set it. And like having those swatches on my arm for like 30 minutes, they were under the fan for a while. They were just as wet as when I applied it. Under these lights, it's gonna look a little extra shiny. In person, I think it's hard to tell also because I'm sweating, so some of this glow, unfortunately, is sweat. I do have highlighter on, but it's like, you know, colorful highlighter, so you can pretty much tell. But any shine like on my chin or in like the middle of my forehead, whatever, that is just sweat slash the kind of shine from this foundation. Once I do set it with that powder, it does not look like totally matte. It's like after an hour or so, it definitely looks a bit more of like a natural finish. And for me, it does get a little shiny throughout the day. It doesn't get super shiny and it doesn't get really patchy. Sometimes it does sit kind of funny on any part of my skin that's kind of a little bit dry. Just because the skincare stuff I use, it tends to be a little bit flaky. So if I don't exfoliate it really well ahead of time, sometimes foundation just looks awful. So other than the creasing, I feel like it does wear okay throughout the day. It doesn't seem to oxidize or like get any darker throughout the day. It doesn't break down on my chin, which is a very common issue I have with certain types of foundations. This style of foundation just isn't really up my alley because I like things that set. And so I would prefer something that's a little bit more like a long wear formula that kind of sets down to be either matte or kind of semi-matte, you know, I don't want to look powdery, but I do like not having to set like my cheeks, which are more dry, if I can get away with it, if the foundation kind of sets by itself. I'm pretty sure I was convinced for about a week that these were the same brands, even though like clearly I know they're not. But I was thinking that this E.L.F foundation was like a replacement for the ColourPop, and I think it's because the names are like the same. So this is Fair 2W and this is 2 Fair Warm, and just in my head I was like, oh, it's the same color names, it's the same whatever, they should be the same color. And I'm pretty sure I did swatches like, hey, it's similar, it's just this one's a little bit more yellow. Just, I don't know what planet I was living on. Anyway, so I think that's about it. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, if you've tried it out. I think the cost is not really worth it based on the formula for me personally. For other people, you know, if it works better on their face, then it might be worth it. But it is kind of weird to me that it is so much more expensive than like the other E.L.F foundation that I have that I like better than this one. I don't know what that's all about, so that's kind of a bummer. This isn't great on me either, like the formula with like a satin foundation. That one I absolutely have to set well all over, also with the NARS powder, otherwise it will run with sweat. So I mean, that is the downside, but if I have to set this one because it's tacky, then it's not like it's really any different. It's just giving me an extra little small amount of SPF. So I don't know, not worth an extra like $10 or whatever to me. Let me know if you've tried it out, if this shade works for you, doesn't work for you, whatever. I would love to hear from you in the comments. And yeah, hope you're having a good day, and I'll see you soon. I forgot that there's like dust on my camera lens. Crap. I gotta figure out how to clean that at some point. Well, I read how to clean it, but then I was too freaked out to do it. I think a can of air is my best bet. Hopefully it will just come off with that, because I don't want to touch it for sure. I'm so sweaty too. This is not great. This is not great. The air conditioning is on, of course, but my fan is not, and I don't know, just my brain medication also makes me more sweaty. Not great. So I was looking for something to put in my hair, and I didn't know if I wanted like matte or shiny or whatever. I decided shiny, and I had this like sample of this Intersense styling gel that came in a like free gift with purchase type thing from Ulta. And when I was looking on the back to see how it recommended to apply like with dry hair or whatever, the snort I let out when I read this description, this hair ceremony, oh my God. So funny. So bizarre. I did not take deep breaths or center myself before I did any of my hair styling, unfortunately. So hopefully it still works. I was talking to my person about this, and they're like, you should definitely mention that in your video. So funny.